Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with more old world goodness. Do you know how many times I've said old world goodness now? I had to check back on my playlist of old world videos and I had to scour through the playlist of 66 videos. This will be the 67th video. I have already done 67 videos for the old world, which I think is pretty insane considering how short a time it has been out. But I guess that's just my obsession showing through. And that obsession shows no sign of abating. So, Games Workshop very kindly sent me out the new Slaves to Darkness range, or as I like to call them, Warriors of Chaos for the old world. So that's what I'm going to do here today. So, they sent out this particular set, the new Dawnbringer set with the awesome new character on its monstrous mount. And I'm going to use this model to represent a Chaos Lord on a dragon for my Warriors of Chaos army for the old world. So I'm going to show you guys how to convert them up onto a base, the correct size, and then get them painted up to match in with the rest of my new Warriors of Chaos army. I also have a whole bunch of Dark Oath stuff, which I'm also building and putting on square bases and ranking up. They rank up beautifully. I'm going to do some videos on that as well. And they also very kindly sent me out the new Nexus, which is the new scenery piece. And obviously scenery pieces don't have specific rules in the old world, but there's definitely certain missions where you have to fight over certain points. So having a themed bit of scenery for my Warriors of Chaos, I think makes a lot of sense. Okay, if you're excited for that, then stick around and enjoy this video. Before I get into it though, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my patrons. Without you guys, I could not continue doing what I'm doing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you would like to help this channel out, see me grow bigger and stronger, links in the description below take you there. You get access to a private Discord server and an extra vlog style video from me every single day. So if that's something that excites you, then please do check that link out. Okay, now without further ado, let's get this beast going. Okay guys, so this is where the miniature comes from. Obviously it is Abraxia, the Spear of the Ever-Chosen. He is Archeon's, I think, foremost lieutenant. He's a pretty awesome miniature. And when I saw him, I was like, I do not play Chaos in Age of Sigmar. I don't do a lot of Age of Sigmar now that the old world has reappeared, which has led me to believe, or led me to the conclusion that I'm going to be converting most of my Age of Sigmar collection, especially stuff that isn't already done, into old world stuff. And I've been looking for a miniature to use as a Chaos Lord on a dragon. So when I saw him, I was like, you know what? Why not? I did spend a little bit of time looking at STL files for wings, thinking about printing them out and adding them on, but I didn't really want to. I'm kind of okay with the idea of this thing just being this kind of lumbering beast bounding around the battlefield. That's where his speed comes from. The skin tone on the Drake was one that caused quite a discussion between me and the boss as to what tone should be. She wanted to be black and dark, and I decided to go with something a little bit paler, so I went for Berserker Bloodshade across the skin of the beast. And that's it. That's all I did for the skin on the beast. Full stop. No shade, no dry brushing, no layering, just that. Now, at this point in painting, obviously I had intentions of doing other things with it, but I started to really enjoy and really like the look of it. And one thing that I've learned with my painting moving forward is, like, if I'm painting for the old world especially, which is a monster miniature game, sometimes you can have 100, 150 figures on the table, a multitude of monsters and large creatures. And I want to have so many different armies and collections painted for that, but I cannot dedicate 6 months to paint each army. So therefore, shortcuts and quick paint schemes are the things that I'm striving towards. So when I got that skin tone on, I was like, I'm happy with this. So I can put that model on the table now, and I'd be quite proud of how this skin looks. But obviously, I did not need to tell myself that right there. I was going to be like, okay, let me see how the rest of the miniature comes together, and then we shall decide then whether I do actually need to throw a shade on, or whether I do need to work up the skin a little bit more, or anything like that. So obviously I have my Volupus pink. I did the inside of the mouth with this, and then the awesome brand, the 8-pointed star, which is branded onto the flank of this big gnarly beast. I'm going to do that in the sour pink tone as well. Make it look kind of like distressed skin. I love all these little extra details they do put in miniatures like that, and something that does take contrast and shade so well. I mean, look how good that pink scar looks already. That's one contrast over the blood shade. I mean, it looks fantastic. Black Templar was then brought in, and I decided to go for dark horns. I didn't want to go for pale horns as the skin is so pale, so I was like, okay, let's just go with some standard black horns. This is a chaos mount after all. It's like demonic beast. One of the cool things about this is that, like, although I shall be using it as a Chaos Lord and the Dragon for the most part, if I need to play smaller games, I could downgrade it to a Chaos Lord and a Manticore maybe, and the model would still kind of work. It represents it, like, I think pretty well. It probably represents a Manticore a little bit better than it does a Dragon, but they're my dollies. I'll do what I want with them. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. If you saw this beast based correctly, it's on a 60 by 100mm base, which is the size of a Chaos Dragon's base in the old world. If you saw that deployed against you on the opposite side, would that bother you? I mean, obviously there is no miniature I can buy now to represent a Chaos Lord on a Dragon. That's my biggest kind of quip with the old world right now, is the lack of available miniatures. I'm having to go to all sorts of different places, whether that be third party, or whether that be proxying or converting or doing stuff like that. Because there is no official miniature, I'll do what I want. But obviously you will see a miniature across the table that someone has put a lot of love into. It's not like they've just grabbed, you know, one of their Age of Sigmar models and, you know, it's a circle base sitting on a square base or with a conversion tray to use as both. Obviously I've just built and painted this for the intention of using it as, you know, this for the old world. I, for one, I don't think would have a problem with anybody doing that as long as it's fairly clear as to what it's meant to be. Like, if I put this on the table with the Lord on top and was like, yeah, this is my troll hag, I'd be like, wait a minute. I know it's on the right size base, but I don't think that's right. I've gotten all the silver on the panels. I've used black to do all of the straps holding on his armor plate as well. I wanted a nice dark color for that. And now this stage took by far the longest, and that is painting all of the trim gold. This is a big beastie. He is covered in armor panels, and all of them have gold trim on the side of them. So I took my time. It probably took half an hour, 40 minutes to go around this entire miniature and put the gold trim where I needed it to go. And I was trying to be really careful with this because I didn't want to mess it up, basically. Now, the specific tone and color that I'm going for with my armor is just, it's like undivided. These Chaos Warriors haven't really particularly fallen to any one Chaos God. If I decide to do a God-specific army of Chaos Warriors down the line, I think I will lean more heavily into their aesthetics. It won't just be, here's a Chaos Warrior, he has a green tinged armor and a green cape, he's an Nurgle. Here's a Chaos Warrior, he's got red. I think I'll go more, like I said, stealing miniatures from Age of Sigmar. Use Blood Warriors for, you know, Coronate Warriors, or the beautiful new Slanesh range, which is for Age of Sigmar. You could definitely do, you know, Chosen and Cavalry and all sorts and get a Warriors of Chaos army done in the Slanesh colors. So that may be something I do in the future. But for now, I think a nice undivided force. I'm not saying I'm not going to mark them in games. Obviously, it's going to help me out and play the game. But as for what they're devoted to, I want to see a more of a traditional, standard-looking army. You know, silver plate armor, gold trim, nice red capes. And my force is going to use all of the new models I've got my hands on so far. So that means all the new Chaos Warrior miniatures. Even Varangard, Chaos Knights, and of course all the new Dark Goat stuff. So I have units of Marauders and Marauder Cavalry being used, and with those. And I think the force as itself is going to look fantastic. My collections for the old world are going to start looking a little bit bizarre because I'm also a traditionalist. I do love the old miniatures. If I could get my hands on an old Chaos Lord on a dragon, I would paint it up and use that so happily. So I mean, some of my collections are going to be this like 30-year-old miniatures face off against the most beautiful new Age of Sigmar sculpts converted over. If those two units get pushed together, I think it's going to be fairly kind of funny looking. But I think that's another kind of hint of a charm. One of my watchers, viewers, or fans, if you will, reached out to me and offered me 3 Warhawk riders because he knew I was trying to get together a Wood Elf army, which is a particularly difficult thing to do these days. And I was like, I jumped at the opportunity to get 3 Warhawk riders. I was like, oh yes, please. They're one of my favorite units, if not my favorite unit in Wood Elves. And when I finally got my hands on the miniatures he sent, they're like the first edition ones, the really small ones with the really small elves on the back. And for a second I was like, oh, they're not the ones I thought they were. I thought they were like the next generation. Then it just clicked in my head and I was like, I'm not upset about this. I'm going to paint these models beautifully. I'm going to add them into the army. I'm going to use them in games. They deserve to be used. They're awesome models. Doesn't matter if they're 35 years old. Who cares? I don't know. My traditional way of painting these guys is working a treat, which is obviously the beast got sprayed black and then sprayed grey sear before I applied any of the contrast or shades or anything to him. And the rider shield and the sword that gets mounted to the side of his saddle got sprayed black and then got dusted with silver. Meaning that when I got to adding extra trim, I just put a bit of gold trim on him. bit of red contrast on his cape, bit of turquoise contrast with the lizard skin going over his shoulders, some black trim on handles, horns, and straps for his stirrups. Yeah, it took absolutely no time at all. After that, we grab our Agrek search shade again, which is the same Agrek search shade we use for all the armor and straps and stuff for the beastie itself, and apply that across the entire miniature. It did not take long to get the model looking in a very nice state. And then it was time to obviously start building up the colors on the dragon. And with that, I meant just the armor. Obviously, I've drivers up the base now. Now, with the base, I like having the brown tones. I've done this with all of my Age of Sigmar, or all of my Old World armies so far, apart from Tomb Kings. They just got to be on desert, right? When the army is fully built and fully painted, I will do a batch flocking and adding tufts and flowers and all those kind of bits and pieces to the army as a whole at the end, so that they all kind of match in. I use the right pack of tufts across all of them and that kind of stuff. So I do apologize. This, obviously the base here looks just very brown and grey. It will be a lot more colorful, a lot brighter and a lot nicer a little bit further down the line. I will put some pictures up on Instagram when that's done and show you the whole force. It is kind of nice, obviously, just having a set basing scheme, except for my Tomb Kings, for all of my Old World collections. They're all going to have the same kind of just standard earth with grass and flock basing. So that way we can put them all on the same kind of boards and they're all going to match in. Quite liking that aesthetic, and obviously it's adding something, a bit of a pop to the bases that I'm enjoying a lot. Sometimes I think with Age of Sigmar you can obviously go kind of mental with bases. People are like walking on lava bubbles and, you know, it looks awesome, but it kind of detracts from the models a little bit, I think. Kind of like the models being a little bit more grounded, on ground, if you will. Lol. Okay, so the models are starting to look fairly crisp. We have layered up all of the armor with lead belcher again. Obviously, you want to keep these guys dark. They are Chaos Warriors. They are not gleaming Empire Knights with plate mail. They're not supposed to be the kind of bright and shiny and glorious. Even when it comes to this cape, obviously I did Flesh Terrors red for the contrast across the cape. It got brown washed. And then we're just going to use Corn red to pull up the color and brighten it up. That's it. We're not going to go up into Mephiston or Evil Sons or anything brighter. We're not going to make the cloak pop. We want it to be muted, dark, evil. These are crazy chaos forces on the march. I think the beastie is starting to look really nice. A bit of pink horror is going to be used to highlight obviously his tongue and those scars. The brand on his flank is getting highlighted really quickly. And I did do a little bit extra. We obviously got Corvus Black, highlighted the horns, the saddle, the straps, and stuff like that. The base, obviously, we used Basilicanum Grey for the stone, a bit of Gargaxura for the vines, and then when I dry brushed up the base with orange and bone, I just hit all of those columns and stuff again to make it look like these old fallen down ruins, and I think it blends together really well. Bit of Uriel Yellow for the eyes of the beastie, once again just to make it pop. We also did use a little Shapti Bone to make the teeth on the beast pop as well, stuff that I don't think is very exciting to show. When we did the pink horror, we did the wrap on the spear that the Chaos Beastie is holding and stuff. 60 by 100 base, laser cut by myself. And yeah, I'm really happy with him. I think he looks class. I cannot wait to deploy him alongside my Chaos Army. I really need to get some time together to get the rest of the Chaos Army that I've currently collected fully built. I've got all their trays cut out, all their bases cut out, ready to be put together and glued. And I do just want to see the collection together as one force. And then, of course, move forward with painting. Probably the Chaos Warriors first, and then maybe the Chaos Knights second, and then kind of go from there. Here's a couple of still images of what he looks like, or what he will look like on a tabletop. And I must say, I think he looks really good. Please tell me what you think about him. What do you think about me using him as a Chaos Lord on a dragon? What do you think about the single solitary shade to do the skin on the beast? Do you think it looks good? Do you think I need to do more with it? Or do you think it works? I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings on this, guys. And I hope you definitely enjoyed this video. Okay, guys, and there we have it. My Chaos Lord on his dragon is now on his base, looking awesome on his 60 by 100 millimeter base. So he fits into the old world perfectly. I know he doesn't have wings. I don't care. It's fine. I think it's an awesome model. I don't want to go mess around with him and try and glue wings onto him in a dodgy way. He can be like one of those Chinese dragons that doesn't need wings to fly around and be awesome. My toy, my rules. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any other Chaos miniatures you would like to see me paint up and add into my old world collection, please do not hesitate to ask. I'd be more than happy to add more videos to the now 68 videos in the old world playlist. So thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, check out my Patreon, and thank you so much for all your continued support. I'll see you in the next one.